Om Namo Narayana, Jai Swami Narayana, Namaste. Welcome back as we work our way towards the end of Canto 5. Today we're looking at Chapter 23, the Sisumara Planetary System, and we'll be reading the entire chapter because it's not that long. Sukadeva Goswami continued his story. My dear king, 10,400,000 miles above the planets of the seven sages is the place that learned scholars describe as the abode of Lord Vishnu. There the son of Maharaja Uttanapada, the great devotee of Maharaja Dhruva, still resides as the life source of all the living entities who live until the end of creation. Agni, Indira, Prajapati, Kashyapa, and Dharma all assemble there to offer him honor and respectful obeisances. They circumambulate him with their right sides toward him. I have already described the glorious activities of Maharaja Dhruva. Established by the supreme will of Lord Vishnu, the pole star, which is the planet of Maharaja Dhruva, constantly shines as the central pivot for all the stars and planets. The unsleeping, invisible, most powerful time factor causes these luminaries to revolve around the pole star without cessation. When bulls are yoked together and tied to a central post to thresh rice, they tread around that pivot without deviating from their proper positions. One bull being closest to the pole, another to the middle, and a third on the outside. Similarly, all the planets and all the hundreds and thousands of stars revolve around the pole star, the planet of Maharaja Dhruva, in their respective orbits, some higher and some lower. Fastened by Lord Vishnu to the machine of material nature according to the results of their fruitive acts, they are driven around the pole star by the wind, and will continue to be so until the end of creation. These planets float in the air within the vast sky, just as clouds with hundreds of tons of water float in the air, or as in the great Sashena eagles, due to the results of past activities, who fly high in the sky and have no chance of falling to the ground. This great machine, consisting of the stars and the planets, resembles the form of a dolphin in the water. It is sometimes considered an incarnation of Krishna, Vyasadeva. Great yogis meditate upon Vyasadeva in this form because it is actually visible. This form of the dolphin, called Sisumara, has its head downward and its body coiled. On the end of its tail is the planet of Dhruva. On the body of its tail are the planets of the demigods Prajapati, Agni, Indra, and Dharma. And at the base of its tail are the planets of the demigods Datta and Vidatta. Where the hips might be on the Sisumara are the seven saintly sages like Vashista and Angira. The coiled body of the Sisumara Kakra turns towards its right side, on which the 14 constellations from Abhijit to Punavarshu are located. On its left side are the 14 stars from Pusha to Uttarashada. Thus its body is balanced because its sides are occupied by an equal number of stars. On the back of the Sisumara is the group of stars known as Ajaviti, and on its abdomen is the Ganges that flows in the sky. On the right and left sides of where the loins might be on the Sisumara Kakra are the stars named Punarvasu and Pushya. Andhra and Ashlesha are on the right and left feet. Abhijit and Uttarashada are on its right and left nostrils. Sravana and Pusharada are on its right and left eyes, and Dhanishta and Mula are on its right and left ears. The 8 stars from Magha to Anuradha, which mark the southern course, are on the ribs of the left of its body, and the 8 stars from Mrigashisha to the Purbhavadra, which mark the northern course, are on the ribs of the right side. Shatabisha and Jesta are on the right and left shoulders. On the upper chin of the Sisumara is Agasti, on the lower chin Yamaraja, on its mouth Mars, on its genitals Saturn, on the back of its neck Jupiter, on its chest the Sun, and within the core of its heart Narayana. Within its mind is the moon, on its navel Venus, and on its breast the Asvini Kumaras. Within its life air, which is known as Pranapana, is Mercury. On its neck is Rahu, All over its body are comets, and in its pores are the numerous stars. My dear king, the body of the Sisumara, as thus described, should be considered the external form of Lord Vishnu. Morning, noon, and evening one should silently observe the form of the Lord as the Sisumara Kakra and worship him with the following mantra. O Lord, who has assumed the form of time, O resting place of all planets moving in different orbits, O master of all demigods, O Supreme Person, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you and meditate unto you. The body of the Supreme Lord, which forms the Sisumara Kakra, is the resting place of all the demigods and all the stars and planets. One who chants this mantra to worship the Supreme Person 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening, will surely be freed from all sinful reactions. If one simply offers his obeisances to this form and remembers this form 3 times a day, all his recent sinful activities will be destroyed. Thus ends chapter 23. So I will apologize for mispronouncing any of those Sanskrit names. I have never seen any of them before. I have never heard any of them, or 90% of them I've not heard before. And I've lived in Hungary and Japan, where I spoke the language to varying degrees, and I also spent a year in college learning Russian, and then took Spanish and German when I was a boy, just, surface level. I have always learned better hearing, reading stuff. I do need to see the words, but I tend to just take words and suck them in. So when I was in Japan, I actually developed a really good, sort of like a middle-aged man, Kansai ben, or Kansai accent. Oh, honto ne, eh? And it worked so well that if someone wasn't looking at me, they would respond to me in Japanese and then look up and sort of change. But it was really good because I could fix where I didn't know the words. And that was through listening. It was really good. So my apologies, I haven't heard these words. So if I mispronounce them, I have accent marks, but my Sanskrit isn't so good. Also, I have said in an earlier video that I do not know Vedic astrology. So the whole thing of the stars here just kind of goes over my head, and it's something I'm probably not going to study. So I will open the floor to any of you who are familiar with Vedic astrology and welcome you to fill in the gaps down below with information for anyone watching this who wants more details. Also, if you are a Vedic astrologer and you would like to do my chart or communicate with me about Vedic astrology, I would be willing to do a series of videos on that. It's kind of a little different than I normally do. I'd even be willing to, read some books or share some stuff or whatever. But it is an important part of Hindu culture. Very much so, the naming of people and, getting your astrology right. It's very huge. So I'm open to it. It's just something I don't know about, but feel free to reach out to me and fill my head with knowledge and allow me to share information with others. I'm very open to it. So I'll just leave it there, and I look forward to your comments. Jai Shri Krishna, Jai Shri Swami Narayan.